sales, you know. Eye sign sales. I bought a bird for $2,500. Dominant by an eye. I gave $2,000 for his eyes and $500 for the pigeon. I sell a lot of pigeons off him. His brother won second national Barcelona. He's beautiful. He's beautiful. You know. But without those eyes, would I give him $2,500? Because I bought his brother for $500. Is eyesight important? It's nice. It's nice. I don't know if it's important. I used to be totally convinced, and now I'm not. You know, I'm not. But there's a, you know, it's like anything. It's like wing theory. It's like the throw. There's enough validity to all of it to get you in trouble. Enough validity to it to sell you down the road. Now, all of a sudden, the eye box is the answer. And if they don't fit up in that eye box and the eye's not right, I ain't even going to try it. Well, let me go back to this. What does a bird need to fly? 2 wings? 2 eyes, how? They don't run into things. Needs a mouth. What does he need to be a center in the VA? He needs to be 6'11". What's he to be the offensive lineman? 6'1". Are you going to tell this guy that's 6'2" that meets the requirements, you can't fly? That's what we're doing. I don't think you can do it. I'll never give you a chance. Now, there's certain negatives. I'm not going to get a guy that's 5'10" and playing center. I got better sense than that. If I got a pigeon with some flaws in it, I'm not going to waste my time. But there's a difference between flaws and pluses. There's what's acceptable, what's required as an athlete. But then there's pluses. Then there's good feather, good muscle, good eyesight, good throat. All these things we look at as basic square feathers or whatever you want to look at, these are pluses. Are they really required? I've got to go grade a millionaire's loft in 2 weeks. And the guy's got more money than all of us in this room, probably. This chick's not here. So, but he says to me, he says, what are you going to do for me? I said, here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to tell you where there's some mistakes. I'm going to look at your ventilation. I'm going to put you on a safe program. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you what I do in your loft. If I lived in your house, I'm going to tell you what I do. And I said, I'm the best judge of pigeons I know. And I don't trust myself anymore. I've seen too many exceptions. There's nobody in this room that's been to more places than I have this year to look at this. I moved into a new house 5th of October and have not slept in it 5 nights in a row. Every week for the last few weeks I've been, every Friday I leave to go somewhere, or Thursday, and come home on Sunday. I'll make an average of 23 to 24 trips a year looking at pigeons, or judging shows, or grading, or doing and giving seminars. And I meet up with it, you know. I like it. But all of a sudden, you see all these exceptions. But are they exceptions? They're exceptions to eyesight. They're exceptions to the wing theory. There's chances it's flying 500, or this, but are they exceptions? No. They're good athletes. Now, what does a pigeon athlete got to have? I told you what it couldn't have. Let me tell you what it's got to have. It's got to have balance. It's got to have muscle. It's got to have buoyancy. We're not building tanks. We're building airplanes. All new pigeon flyers love these big monsters, and they get them, and they love the fence, and they just, these are nice pigeons. I can feel them, you know. First, the worst thing you can do is sell a new pigeon flyer a bad vented pigeon. Because that's the only thing he knows about. First thing he's learning is the vent's got to be tight together. If I took you to Van der Wagen's house, who is the best, longest flyer in Holland today, Toon and Lucy Van der Wagen in Steenbergen. They won 2 first nationals this year. They're the hottest flyers in Holland at the distance right now. the International Barcelona winner a year ago was bred for this. They have the worst vintage back pigeons you ever see. Terrible. I don't buy too many of them because I can't sell them to you guys. You know, I won a 600-mile race with a yearling. I went through 16 of them a year ago to find 2 that I liked. They had 16 of them. They get $1,500 a youngster this year. And the Germans are lined up. And what are they looking at? Are they looking at the events? No. They're looking at national winners, great athletes, great champions. Selling other people's got champions. They're looking at performance. You know, they've got good soft wings because they're distance pigeons. They've got nice muscle. That's what's required. You know, the wings are here, right? Who knows what a back is on a pigeon? None of you do. You all tell me the back is this. Everybody I know, this is the back. My back's always been up here. They say, this bird's got a bad back. They ain't looking at the back, they're looking at the rump, looking at the tail connection. What does this have to do with this? This ain't even moving. But for some reason, when we first get involved, we're convinced that this has a lot to do with this. Now, I'm telling you that a good athlete will have everything. Okay? And most of the stuff will be good, will be acceptable. But what's acceptable? What's acceptable is Jim. They've got to have a good eye. He goes over there and looks at that box. Greg, they got to have a good eye. He's got to go over there and look at that box. Right? Now we're talking about his acceptability. They're going to play center, they got to be 6'11". But to win the combine, do they have to have a good eye? To have AU Hall of Fame, do they have to win a good eye? Have a good eye? They have to have anything. They've got to have good records. They've got to beat a lot of pigeons. We get carried away with non-common sense things. You know, we all do. We all want this shortcut. We all want this out. I'll go back to it again. The Europeans have the basics down correct. And they don't get extravagant. They do the fundamental things exactly right and make no mistakes. And they get these gifted athletes. And when they go out and buy a pigeon, the good loss, they go to Andre Ruhal, the hottest flying in Belgium maybe this year. At least in the Antwerp area. There's no doubt about that. Andre only has 15 cocks on his Wooded team. 2 years in a row, champion of the Antwerp region. 17,000 lost, could compete in the area. Not all of them. 2 years in a row. 15 cocks, 8 hens. Last year, Andre, I was at his house last several years. Last year, he says, this is the ace pigeon. He says, I don't like him. I said, I don't either. He said, yes, he's sure good. You know, he's a good one. So, would we have killed him? Never tried. Now, Andre has 30 pair of breeders, and he only flies 15 cocks. Well, it must not be too good, huh? Takes 30 pair to get 15? He wants 15 champions. And he knows that you don't breed champions in every nest. He knows, but they don't come that often. And so he's producing the numbers from, he's got as fine a breeder as you ever see. From outstanding pigeons, he's producing the numbers to come up with the best athletes. And how's he judge it? By performance. Or good specimens whose brother was a good performer. And then he puts them in there and goes. This year he's going with 27, the largest group he's had yet. And his criteria was not that they won. His criteria that they're from a family of winners. Andre Rudolph says there's only two kinds of pigeons, good ones and bad ones. Well, he's not really saying that. What there really is 3 kinds of pigeons. Super athletes, good ones, and bad ones. And where do the super athletes come from? Every now and then they come up from a fluke, but generally they come from the best good ones. They'll throw one, and then hopefully that one can do it again. So, how do you go about this again? Let's look at it one more time. What you got to do is get performance. You got to get a bird that's gifted, that's an athlete. And you got to find a family that they come in often. And then the odds are in your favor. The odds are in your favor that you can produce one or two. And if you produce 5, you're one. You know? And the same pigeons tend to produce more. You know, you'll get a pair that will produce 6 good pigeons in 6 years. But 1 or 2 of those are better than the other 4, right? They're the champions of the law. The others are good ones. But why don't we breed from the 1 or 2? Why do you want to breed from the brother? I've never understood this yet. You know, I'll put my foot in my mouth one more time. I like to do that. This is a breeder, and this is a flyer. Somebody tell me why that's so. I've never heard a good reason yet, after 30 years in the sport, why this is a breeder and this is a flyer. I'm not an athlete, so I'm going to produce athletes. I want to breed black pigeons, so I'm going to start with brown. I think I'm going to start with black ones. If I want to breed good athletes, I'm going to start with good athletes. The only reason this is a breeder and this is a flyer is you're saying this flyer doesn't have all the tools you'd like to see in him to be a breeder, but he's a good one. But don't breed out of him. Because this one's got better tools. He ain't flown, but he's got better tools. But he didn't inherit it. We don't know that he inherited the abilities. The shows are to give one man's opinion. I like to judge shows. I really like to judge. I don't like to show. I like to judge shows. Because I'm never wrong. When I'm done, I'm done. That's the winner. I didn't make any mistakes. I can't make any mistakes. I'm the only judge. The judge showed in Salt Lake City last week. One in Omaha the week before. Shows are wonderful. They're shows. Birds that are at the top of the sheets are the best pigeons in your club. They are the best pigeons in your club. And not to go to the best bar in your club and buy pigeons is unbelievable. No. You want to go to my house and buy pigeons. You don't want to beat him with his own pigeons. That ain't good. He'll just get too much credit. But if you beat him enough, he won't. They'll say he bought the good ones. You know? We're crazy. We're funny people, you know. We know all this common sense and we seem to forget it. Athletes, buoyancy, balance, muscle. No matter what size they come in. If they're 5'1" or 4'11", Mary Lou Redden, to Abdul Kareem Jabbar, 7'2", they're gifted. They're gifted. They inherited those traits. They inherited those traits. They're athletes. And they come in all sizes. The sizes set the limitations. The type of muscles set the limitations. They're 4-hour pigeons. They're 6-hour pigeons. They're 12-hour pigeons. They're 2-day race pigeons. The size says he can play center. Says he better be a gymnast. He's a shortstop. There ain't too many shortstops in baseball that's 6'2". They're all about 5'7", 5'8". They're balanced. They're gifted. They flow. You know. Every now and then you get a Magic Johnson that's 6'5", 6'6", that has got that ability. And that's rare. It's rare. You know. So think about what we're looking for. We're looking for an animal that's a superior specimen that's inherited these abilities and recognizes limitations, where he's going to do you some good. And don't ask him to do something he can't do. There was a guy in my club in Dallas who's been killed a long time ago. His name was C.J. Hurd. Hurd, I knew he was going to die. He's a crazy driver. Had a wreck. 20 years ago he got died. He was a fun guy. Really good pigeon man. He had a pigeon. We used to fly what we called in Dallas called jumped up races. They were races we'd start before the races. We'd start and about 20 of us get together and put up money for 100 miles. We'd do it 2 or 3 weeks in a row before the first race. And C.J. Hurd had this cockbird that won the jumped up races all the time. He's taking my money all the time. Won a lot of money. But C.J. got crazy and shipped him 500 miles and lost him and never saw him again. What's wrong with having the best one at 100 miles? What's wrong with having the best one at 300 miles? Because what you're not going to have is not have it anymore. Limitations, gifted, muscle, balance, buoyancy, they're athletes. Remember the limitations, don't push them too much. What's far enough? I don't know. You've got to watch. Keep your eye open. Observation. You got to feel it here. I'm crazy, you know, when I'm working with my pigeons, I feel it. I don't have to touch them. I sense it. I can go in there blindfolded and tell you can hand me any pigeon in my flying team, and the minute I touch him that quick, I know who I'm holding. But I get in tune. I get, you know, I'm a fanatic. But I sense that vibration, sense that muscle, sense that energy in those athletes. And some people, among us, have the ability to look at a pigeon and say, that's an athlete. That's it. He has that tool. What is it we see? Or what do we sense? Or what do we feel? Now, whether we can get it out of him, because there's a lot of good athletes. Wayne Thomas used to be one of the Cowboys years ago that had problems. A lot of good athletes get screwed up on drugs. A lot of athletes, they don't want to work. And I think it exists in the pigeons. You know, they're lazy sometimes. But when you get them, when you recognize it, take advantage of them, spread them throughout your loft, you're going to be a champion. It's that simple. You know, that's going to help you. You know, the wing's going to help you. You know, everybody says, you've seen gobs of champions over the world. What do they got in common? I'm going to tell you, nothing. Nothing. If there was, I'd be buying them all. Nothing. Matter of fact, the more I see, the worse it is. My best bird this year was uglier than sin. Handled terrible, looked terrible. But you know what? He had two wings, he had good bone structure, good fin, two ugly eyes on him, and he had a heart, and he had to his athlete, and he could give it to him. And he was champion bird. He had limitations, and I asked one too many weeks out of him this year. I learned a lesson. I very seldom do that. But every 10, 15 years, I got to get slapped again, remember. Don't you make those mistakes all the time. That's it. Thanks. Hood loft. We've got actually two compartments. The birds can fly through these windows right into the lofts. Bad day. The Sputnik is here where they can come in. It opens up. We never let them out the Sputnik. We always let them out the windows. Late birds can trap in here. There's actually a double compartment here in my double window hood loft. And we'll go, over here to the right is where the hens will be kept. We haven't completed this section yet here. We'll take a glance at it. There'll be a large aviary on the side for the hens. This is the east. The loft faces south. Now let's go in and take a look inside. We have a hallway dividing our compartments. The double window hood loft's here on the right with a sliding door. The hens will go here. Just provides a little more space between the hens and the cocks. It is not this. I mean, the compartment in the hens is not necessary. It just gives me a design. I like to stand here on race day where I can look at and watch for the birds coming in. Okay, there's two compartments. Each compartment has 20 pens, 20 nest boxes. This is February 15th. The birds are paired up. Eggs are just starting to hatch. Our first race is the 1st of April. You can see how the nest boxes are typical window hood style nest boxes. We'll show you one in detail. And on this side of is the long distance pairs. On the other side is the short distance pairs. What I'm going to try to do with this loft that I haven't done in the past is I'm going to put the short distance pigeons on the system a week or so ahead of the long distance system. Right now there's perches on the wall on the left. They will come off. We just put those up when we start pairing up. because I had a little trouble getting nest box adjustments. Like I say, it's a new loft. The birds have only been in this loft about 6 weeks. Perches are what we use in the hen loft, so the hens won't mate. The little 2x4 stubs come out about 5 inches on a 1x4 with wood screws screwed on. Then these perches screw on. You can unscrew them and pull them off or move them. What we're going to do on the hen loft is put a solid wood divider between each each perch, row of perches, so they can't look at each other. Also, the thing that's nice about this is the birds don't crap on each other. They actually sit on this, turn, and crap off to the side. We might also look at the ventilation here. Ventilation. If we go down to the floor here, you'll see I've got a great opening in each pen for wind or ventilation to come in and enter at the floor level and come out. As you go up and look at above the nest boxes, there is an opening here. We'll wire, and we come out about 16 inches from the nest boxes solid, so the birds do not set in any kind of draft. There's air movement here, and if we can get a look over here, and here you'll see wire here. So we've got an airflow across to the top and air from the bottom up. So we got a constant exchange of air, but the birds are out of the draft. In this particular area, temperature extremes aren't normal in the race season, but if I feel we got a cold spell coming on, I can cover the floor with a piece of plywood. I've got a piece that will fit in that opening. I can put it up, cover it up, and help maintain the temperature some. But like I said, in this particular part of the country, when we are actually, heat's more of a problem to us than temperature coolness. We might look at the nest boxes here themselves. Here's a nest box. These things come out. You can bring them all the way forward, and it's important in a double window hood or any kind of window hood operation to be able to shut the box off so the cock or someone can't get in there when the cock is gone and take his nest. Typical drop door. They'll come up like this. You can then move it back. Race day, put the hen in here on this side if you want, or let it down. Also then in the off season, if you would like, you can shut the box. We'll move the front back and leave just a ledge. That way it's less area to clean. Also, like the other nest fronts, the loft, it will store above for cleaning purposes while you're working. As you can see, this one needs cleaned now. Hens will be kept over here in this compartment. Like I said, we haven't finished it actually. We won't need it here for a few weeks when the races get here. This compartment's about 6 by 6. Then there'll be an additional aviary to the outside that we can lock the hens in on the east side of the building. And there is a hallway spacer again between them. It's not necessary, it's only convenient that if you have room, I'd recommend you doing it. If space is a problem, there's no reason to do it. What it does do, though, is gives you the ability to go into this pen and not allow the hens to escape by you right into the loft, because believe me, your hens will want to come right back to this window loft as often as possible. Also, it gives you the ability to put a crate down here on the floor, and we'll make here an entry door in the door so the hens can run into the crate and load themselves. I'll show you where we keep the cocks next. On the opposite end of the double window hood loft, the cocks will be kept at this end. We have a door here for our convenience. This door will swing back like this and create a passageway so the birds can't go to the back hallway. This way, if I want to run the cocks in, this is their compartment right here. This door opens up again, creates a passageway so the cocks, I can run the cocks into their compartment. Also, if I want to allow them back in, I can do the same thing in reverse. Now, let me mention this, it's very important. The front of this will be covered with white plastic. You can just go get the bisgreen plastic and put it on here with a staple gun. If you want to buy fancy plastic, fine. Bisgreen works. All I want to do is get these cocks quiet and keep them back here so that I can go by here during the day and not distract them. Now let's look at the loft itself. And as a matter of fact, there's a group of cocks in here right now. We're just using it as a holding pen at this time. But you see, they do have box perches. They can lay down on the perch. I like it. I like them to be comfortable. The same situation, if you look to the roof, we've got about 2 foot of solid overhang wood. This wood keeps the draft from coming up in front of the birds. They're out of the draft. But there is good airflow up here. If I smoked a cigarette, you can see the wind blow right out. But down here below this, you feel nothing. If you look, the floor is solid wire bottom here. Yes, we have a dropping catcher, what we call, that is solid wood and catches the droppings. It's here again, it stops the draft. The additional purchase in here, like we saw, and you might have another view of these purchases. These are the purchases that will be in the hen pen. Right now it's the off season, and as I say, these are put up with wood screws. We can just pull them out real easy. They're very convenient. We can move them wherever you want them. The key is both sides of this are solid too. The wood is solid, and then by putting the visqueen on the front of this pen, you will have absolutely no trouble with the birds being able to see out. There's good fresh air. The whole bottom's open, and it's open to the south. So the ventilation is good. We don't have a temperature problem here normally. We're flying in April and May, and here by April the nights very seldom drop below 50. I don't even know if they'll come out today. I would if I didn't have to. It's about 32 degrees out, overcast skies. Let me see if they'll want to come out. Well, we got them started. There we go. Looks like just the hens. The cocks are on the nest.